What's up, Taiwan? I'm Joyce with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has selected his running mate. Once a Trump critic, Ohio State Senator J.D. Vance is now his vice presidential candidate and one of Trump's most loyal defenders.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye!
All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
Roaring applause at the Republican National Convention in Wisconsin as Ohio State Senator James David Vance, or J.D. Vance, is nominated as former President Donald Trump's running mate. Trump first made the announcement in a Truth Social post 2 days after surviving an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, appearing at the convention with a bandage on his right ear. Here, big support for the former president's pick, a 39-year-old venture capitalist turned politician who was once one of Trump's fiercest critics.
He's a businessman. We have now, instead of one businessman, we've got two great businessmen. And that's what our country needs.
J.D. Vance brings together the strength to be able to connect with people that are in the middle. He can bring together maybe some people that are disheartened.
Vance was raised by his grandparents in a small city in Ohio, a Rust Belt state, then went on to serve in the U.S. Marines, including a tour of duty in Iraq, eventually becoming a venture capitalist in California after graduating from Yale Law School. Vance wrote a best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, and once criticized Trump as a moral disaster, allegedly calling him America's Hitler, and said he was definitely not voting for Trump in the 2016 election. Now, Vance admits he was wrong, changing his mind and becoming one of Trump's biggest allies.
Somebody like a J.D. Vance would certainly do a lot to mobilize Donald Trump's more rural, more blue-collar base. Well, I believe Trump is a very transactional person, and if somebody's useful to him now, he'll go along with them and forget maybe what was said in the past.
Vance has been vocal about putting America first, opposing interventionist U.S. foreign policies, slamming President Biden's aid package to Ukraine amid Russia's ongoing invasion. Vance has previously argued that the biggest threat to the United States is a Chinese invasion of Taiwan, and that U.S. weapons going to Kyiv should be going to Taipei.
The best way to help Ukraine, I think, from a European perspective, is for Europe to become more self-sufficient. Vladimir Putin is, of course, in the geopolitical backyard of Europe. The United States, as it focuses more on East Asia, simply can't be expected to foot a disproportionate share of the burden.
With the Republican ticket finalized for November's election, high spirits in Milwaukee on the first night of the 4-day convention, with the party eyeing a return to the White House. Chris Ma and Joyce for TaiwanPlus. The growing demand for AI comes with a growing demand for energy. Taiwan's economy ministry predicts a major increase as the country moves forward on AI tech development. Tiffany Wong reports.
Taiwan has a power problem. Energy-intensive industries and a reliance on imports to keep the lights on are leaving energy experts trying to come up with solutions to an expected boom in energy consumption within the next decade.
新的机组的一些电源开发计划，包括电网、变电所等等的一个更新，因应我们整个再生能源的高渗透率，所以我们的储能系统的建制，我想这三个都是要及时的来做相关的一个建设。
Based on the electricity consumption plans of major manufacturers and investment projects, Taiwan's electricity consumption is expected to jump by 13% by 2030. Much of that demand comes from AI technology, which Taiwan's growing semiconductor industry relies heavily on. AI's demand for electricity is expected to increase 8-fold between 2023 and 2028. The government has also been promoting the switch to electric vehicles, causing more demand. All of that while the country is shutting down its few remaining nuclear power plants. Experts say the government will have to come up with innovative solutions to address the challenges early on.
像现在2024年就来考虑到2030年的事情哦，这是好事。要有充分的一个思考跟准备，你才有办法去面对2030年的问题。
One of those potential solutions is renewable energy. Taiwan has been expanding its solar and offshore wind power capacity, but it's not enough to meet peak demand. Renewable energy is only expected to make up 20% of the total power supply by the end of 2026.
这个部分是低估的，至少应该估到15%，这样子会比较合理。燃气这边就没有办法补上。那你看看再生能源又一再的落后，在一再落后的情况底下，它就更不可能补上。
With electricity essential for both the country's top industries and its people, it's a race against time for experts to come up with a solution before demand outstrips supply. Andy Xue and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
A Cram school in southern Taiwan is under scrutiny for continuing operations despite its head being indicted for sexually assaulting students. The Pingtung government filed a case against the Cram school in May and revoked its operating license. But the education department received reports that the school was still recruiting students. The head of the Cram school was fined over $7,000, and the government says it will fine the school for each day it continues to operate. Local residents have expressed their concerns.
这种问题，尤其我们家是女孩子，我觉得这种安全问题，而且学生那么多，我觉得不太 OK 了。
New laws say companies can no longer force workers over 65 to retire. As John Van Trieste reports, some workers and business groups are happy with the move, but labor rights activists worry tighter rules on getting a pension could follow.
Wu Caihui is one of the older workers at this fast food restaurant, but she's gotten used to the demands of the work here. And thanks to an amendment to labor laws passed Monday, her employers can't force her to leave if she wants to stay on past retirement age at 65, as long as she can still do the job.
我想说，还是给自己一个机会来尝试看看，就在这个工作的当中慢慢调试，尽量让自己跟上工作的那个步伐。
While employers and workers can negotiate the terms of continued employment, one thing is guaranteed. Employers cannot cut the pay of workers just because they're past 65. Anyone who does so can be fined up to $46,000. An amendment to a separate law also passed Monday guarantees guidance for older workers who can't stay and retraining for a new job within 2 years of retirement. A stubbornly low birth rate means Taiwan's population is aging rapidly, creating both a worker shortage and pressure on the pension system. With these new guarantees in place, some people and business groups see older workers staying on the job longer as a positive.
如果这个企业认为说他有这个需要，对方也认为他身体还很健康，要继续延退，都没有什么问题嘛。因为目前来讲，大家身体健康，整个寿命也延后了。
But some labor groups are concerned. The amendments don't change the current pension system, but activists worry stricter rules about pensions may not be far off.
那是不是退休金的请领条件我们也随之延后？那我觉得这就会对劳工的权益真的很有伤害。那到时候甚至整个全国劳工的反弹的声音应该会更大。
But the government still hopes to encourage older workers to stay at their posts, with plans to offer support to companies and set further guidelines to help society adapt to the realities of an aging population. Joseph Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The Foreign Ministry is defending Taiwan's envoy to the U.S. after accusations that he spent taxpayer money on luxuries. The ministry says Alexander Yu's expenses are justified as his home required refurbishment. An investigation found that Yu spent about $42,000 replacing faulty furniture and appliances. It comes after Mirror Media reported that he'd spent nearly $250,000 on luxury goods. An aide to Imran Khan says the move to ban the former Pakistani Prime Minister's party amounts to undeclared martial law in the country. Pakistan's government announced the decision on Monday. The country's information minister says Khan's party received foreign funding from illegal sources. He says the party also incited people to target a military site during protests in support of Khan last year. Khan also faces over 100 different criminal charges, including leaking state secrets, corruption, and unlawful marriage to his third wife. Javanese migrants in Malaysia are fighting to keep an ancient mystical performance art alive, even as they face religious pushback. Rosie Greninger has the story.
Mounting bamboo horses, Javanese diaspora members move around to the beat of a drum in Malaysia's Johor state. These unusual scenes are part of an ancient mystical dance named Kuda Kepang. It's been practiced on the Indonesian island of Java for hundreds of years. thought to cleanse villages of evil spirits. And Javanese migrants have kept up the practice in Malaysia since the 1960s, using it as a healing process for dances and for celebrations. Facing bans on the dance here, troops are waging an uphill battle to keep the tradition alive, saying it bonds together members of their community.
Ada memberi kesan dalam hidup saya sebab saya ada berketurunan berdarah Jawa. Jadi sedikit sebanyak dapat belajar jugalah daripada asal-usul budaya saya. Dan saya bangga dapat belajar seni kuda kepang ni, walaupun ada kekangan, tetapi kita cuba untuk kekalkan tradisinya lagi.
Dances have been forbidden from publicly performing in Johor since 2009 because it's associated with mythical spirits, something that is against the majority Muslim country's rules. A ritual invokes spirits to possess dancers, who then enter a trance, some running in circles, shaking, screaming, grunting, getting whipped, and in some cases eating glass. Some have labelled the dance disturbing, but its performers say it's not meant to be offensive.
Mengganggu tidaklah, sebab apa, bila kita buat macam ini, dia pun ada guna ayat-ayat suci Quran juga. So bila kita mengawal diri kita, ada yang pakai suci-suci Al-Quran juga. So tak ada istilah mengganggu agama.
Despite the dance's defence of kuda kepang, the ban has made it ineligible for public funding, and it's no longer taught in schools. But dancers are unwavering in their mission to keep the art alive, still performing at private events like weddings and circumcision ceremonies.
Saya nak jaga kesenian ni sebab saya bukan takut, saya risau kesenian ni akan pupus macam tu je. Tak ada lagi dah, terus hilang, lenyap. Saya nak jaga sebab itu adalah, saya rasa saya perlu jaga sebab dia dah lama bertapak di sini.
Only 750 troop members now remain in Johor, a number that's quickly declining. But dancers here are adamant they will continue to teach and perform kuda kepang, helping preserve the culture for future generations. Devon Sai and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Divers off southern Taiwan have found extensive coral bleaching brought on by sea temperatures of more than 30 degrees Celsius. Some of the reefs have bleached since as recently as 2 months ago, and algae growth shows that some of the coral is completely dead. It is the worst bleaching event in the area since 2020. The local Kending National Park is asking Taiwan's National Aquarium to look at how to save affected reefs. A Taiwanese junior high school choir has won gold at an international singing competition for the 3rd year in a row. Kaohsiung's Baolai Junior High School took the title at the World Choir Games in New Zealand. The choir integrated traditional Bunun music and choreography into their performance to win gold in the folklore and indigenous music category. The World Choir Games is the largest international choral competition with over 250 teams from 40 countries taking part. The New Taipei Youth Chorus also won the gold medal in the open competition, winning them a ticket to the Games in 2026. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, today we go to a public art exhibition in New York. These bronze animals are intended to raise awareness about endangered species. I'm Joyce. Take care and see you next time.